this lesson, we're going to write relationships between quantities with different metric prefixes. And this is something we'll use very heavily in dimensional analysis or unit conversions, which we'll talk about later on. What we're going to focus on today is how we set up those relationships. You want to remember this expression for setting up these relationships. Put the one with the prefix, put the meaning with the base. Let's break this down a little bit. First, what do we mean by prefix? So if we're looking at things like kilograms, centimeters, milliliters, then the letter at the beginning is our prefix. So in this case, K, C, or M, meaning kilo, centi, and milli. For our base unit, what we're talking about are the things, the gram, the meters, liters. And these are kind of our naked units. They don't have any letter in front of them. They're just by themselves. And we're also calling these base units. This is, again, different than the SI base units that we've talked about. These are units that we're using to measure, and then we use those prefixes as modifiers. And the reason this is so important is because we're going to be able to use to convert between units with different metric prefixes. So for example, if I'm looking at something that has kilometers and I need to convert it to meters, I know the relationship between those two things. We're also going to see where I'm, say, converting from kilometers to meters. And in those cases, we might actually go from kilometers to meters and then meters to millimeters. And we'll talk more about that process now. Right now, I just want you to focus on writing these relationships. Notice when I set up the fractions here, it doesn't matter whether they're my base, my naked unit is on the top or on the bottom. That's going to be predicted by how we're setting up our actual calculation, but the rule still stays the same. I put the 1 with the prefix, so here I have a 1 with the millimeters, and the meaning, so if I go back to my metric prefix table, the meaning of milli is 10 to the minus third, and so I put that with the base or the naked M. Okay, so that's the meaning of milli. On the other one, I have kilograms, so I put the 1 with the prefix, so here's my kilograms, it's the unit that has the prefix in it, and put the meaning with the base. In this case, 10 to the third is the meaning of kilo, so I put that with grams. Some of you may have learned a different relationship between millimeters and meters, for example, or milliliters and liters. Same relationship, just different unit there at the base. And you might have seen as 1,000 millimeters equals 1 meter. And this is absolutely true. However, 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. And so sometimes what happens is students forget, well, do I put the 1,000 on the top or the bottom or with the millimeters or meters? How am I setting up this problem? And so we have to kind of think through it. If we use what the expression that we learned, put the 1 with the prefix, put the meaning with the base, we don't have to do that kind of mental gymnastics to see how things are set up. If you already know how to do these and set up relationships and you're completely confident in using the 1,000 millimeters as 1 meter, that's fine. It's not going to be wrong. But if you're not comfortable with metric prefixes, I strongly encourage you to kind of use this phrase to help you set them up. M means milli, which is 10 to the minus third. So we put the 1 with the prefix, and we put the meaning with the base. So 10 to the minus 3 with M, the meters. I multiply both the numerator and denominator of this expression by 1,000. What I get is 1,000 millimeters over 1 meter. So these are still equivalent. These are still both true relationships. It's just a matter of how you set it up and how you best understand it. Let's look at an example where we identify the value of x. We have 1 centimeter on top and x meters on the bottom. Going back to our expression, we put 1 with the prefix, so there's our unit with the prefix, and we put the meaning, so the meaning of centi, with the base unit. And so the meaning of centi is 10 to the minus 2. What is the value of x here? We put the 1 with the prefix. In this case, it's in the denominator because that's where the kilometers were. We'll worry about how we set up those units later. So 1 with the prefix, and then the meaning, x, is going to be equal to 10 to the third, because K means kilo, which equals 10 to the third.